South Africa's post-G20 messaging may be the perfect platform for the country to lead global discourse. That's according to Old Mutual South Africa Chairperson Trevor Manuel, who suggests that global cooperation isn't failing, but still offers the best solutions to global problems. Our Arabile Gumede has been engaging with him and scores of other leaders gathered in Davos. Arabile, good morning. I was just sharing there the opening around what people like our former finance minister, for example, are talking about this global moment for South Africa. The ramp that was created, or one would say the runway that was created through the way that we handled the G20 amidst myriad competing diplomatic rows and demands, sets the scene for how we can set the scene and set the tone for how we engage globally. Good morning again, by the way, and sorry you're so cold.
Yeah. No, look, getting used to the cold, I can promise you that much. It's a balmy -8 degrees, and it's pretty much normal now, right? But look, Iman, I think you pointed out quite significantly that South Africa had this leadership of the G20 that you and I covered. And I think having covered it, having seen where South Africa held its own, having forcefully sort of been at the helm of that G20 to say that we're going to find a way to come together. I even asked the Old Mutual chair, as well as the former finance minister, Trevor Manuel, about whether he thinks that multilateralism might actually even be dead. And he went on to say he doesn't think so. He just thinks we need to find a way to redefine what multilateralism looks like, because it's no longer the same as it was in the past. Let's remember that post-World War II, so many people came together to try and ensure that the world no longer goes into that same spat. So we agreed to many aspects that maybe the world doesn't agree with today. And that's what US President Donald Trump is upending at this moment in time. So there needs to be a different way to look at what multilateralism looks like, cooperation between countries, how exactly they gather and meet, and what is it that they actually agree to. How does that help the economies that are then cooperating? How does it build the jobs or create the jobs that we're looking at? How does it develop the infrastructure as well that we're looking to kind of gain? And I think that conversation was so important as I spoke to the former finance minister yesterday. Iman, I want to actually take over or run us over to an insert that, or part of that interview that I had with him yesterday. And this part then talks about just advancing South Africa's economy. How do we do that? We've seen South Africa, unfortunately, drop off when it comes to growth quite significantly from his time as finance minister. Our finances were in a surplus. We had a trade surplus as well. So our finances looked far better, even though we have a good news story to tell right now. And
I think that there has to be a selection of what we can and can't do. Parts of what South Africa used to do belongs to a different world. If you pan your camera down the main drag here in Davos, you will see that it's a world dominated by digital companies. The tech companies are controlling, they're moving at the rate of knots, and this is an area where South Africa has kind of fallen behind. I think in part, if one ties that up with the matric results last year, unless we actually step up the teaching of maths and science and STEM subjects generally, this situation is going to remain, because it's not the old mining economy that exports raw minerals. We need to find ourselves in a position where industrial development is mindful of trends in the world, and I'm hoping that these are the lessons that land, and I think there are sufficient ministers here to observe just how big the push is from technology to ensure that we actually take these matters forward, because that's where growth will come from.
Just very quickly, let me repeat that. Parts of what South Africa used to do are part of a world that no longer exists. I think that kind of details exactly where the globe might be. And let's remember then that we have a clear sense that artificial intelligence and all the technological gains that have been made in the world are being discussed right here at the World Economic Forum. So too, geopolitics. We'll uncover and unpack all of it for you across the next few days, of course, including today, day 2 of the World Economic Forum, with the official start being yesterday. Today, the business of the World Economic Forum gets started, Iman.
Arabile, thank you for that update, and we'll be looking with great interest at how those conversations, especially this particular leg of the World Economic Forum, unfolds, and ultimately what's decided at this global gathering. Arabile and the team keeping warm there in Davos, hopefully. All right, coming up on the program, we'll be looking at the latest from the world of sport, but also what's coming up in our Newzroom Afrika diary. These are the stories that our reporters will be keeping an eye on for us today.